All right. Hello, everybody. I'll wait for some people to get in, and if not, then I will just start going about the regular stream. So today's video, I'm just going to be covering what the monetization and partner program things for the channel, and maybe go over some other stuff about the farm. But it's going to be a relatively short live stream. So I'll wait for some people to get in. If you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them over in the live chat. I'll I'll answer any questions you guys have. And if you're new here to the channel, if you're just entering the live stream, don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new here. So I'll get started on the topic, and then we'll see if more people join. I'll post a video later. It will be just a regular post on the YouTube channel. But if you guys have seen my recent videos, I've talked about the monetization and how we were accepted into the partner program with YouTube and what that kind of means for our channel. It does mean some change, and I don't want anybody to be like, oh, you're going to sell out or not going to do the content that we've always done. That's not true at all. But what you may see change is trying to essentially trick the bot or the algorithm for the YouTube monetization. What I've done this week is kind of tested to see how it will affect our future videos or how it affects our current videos. Right now, only 10%, it may even be less, but I'm going to round up and say 10% of our videos have been monetized. And that's pretty low considering YouTube standards. And that's because the bot or the algorithm is picking up on the actual plants. So all the videos this summer where we were in the garden or the grow area, it picked up on those plants and it demonetizes all those videos. So what you may see in the future is videos where you just see me talking or explaining what's going on the farm as far as growing or the plants in general. And then you may see totally separate videos where I know they're just not going to be monetized. And those will be, plant videos. And I think that's going to be the biggest change. You will see other videos starting to pop up, whether it's just me talking or reviews. You won't see the plants in as many videos because YouTube doesn't actually mind the word cannabis or when I say the word cannabis or hemp, but it really actually picks up on your background. So when it picks up on those plants, it demonetizes the video. That's pretty much in a nutshell what's going on with our monetization. So you won't see it on a lot of our videos currently. You'll see it on a few where there's no plants involved. But what it means for the future is not much. Not much is going to change. There will be premiere videos, and that's something new for me and for the channel. What a premiere is essentially is a live chat video that's recorded prior to launch, and then it enables a chat. So like if I launch a video, I can actually chat with you guys after it's uploaded and releases, which I think is kind of neat. The other thing that is now on our channel is what they call a super chat. And a super chat is essentially a tip jar for the channel. That's how I interpret it. I've been watching some videos on what exactly super chats are. So in a nutshell, when you're looking at a live stream or you're looking at one of those premiere videos, it's a little money button down in the corner. If you click it, I think it asks you how much you want to send in a super chat. And then that's essentially goes directly to the farm. And that's part of this monetization that we've had with YouTube. Essentially, YouTube has given us a tip jar. And that essentially becomes part of the farm's income, because for a lot of those videos that can't be monetized, YouTube kind of gives you a secondary way to be monetized. And that is it. So let's say I do a video just on the plants. I'm in the garden. I know this thing isn't going to be monetized. I could set that as a premiere video, and then it essentially has a tip jar. I'm not saying that anybody's pressured into doing it, but that's the way YouTube kind of gets around like edgier content is what they'll call us. Now, we were monetized within 48 hours of our application, which is pretty impressive considering that when you do the application, it says it could take a month. So I think YouTube values our channel quite a bit. You know, our CPM, for those of you that don't know what that is, that's clicks per 1,000. I don't know why it's CPM, but I believe the M is for monetized. Our CPM right now is above $10. So per 1,000 views, we get more than $10, which is pretty impressive. That's above the average for the US. So YouTube is definitely putting good ad revenue on our channel. It's just that a lot of our videos aren't being monetized right now. But like I said, that will change in the future, and you will see some change in content going into the future, but it's not going to be anything drastic. You will see some other videos maybe unrelated to cannabis because we are a farm, and in order to bring more income into the farm, I may do other videos that aren't necessarily related to our hemp grow. And you may see something like working on our tomato plants or something of that nature. If you don't, it's not something you're into, just don't worry about it. I think our channel is going to remain the same. Nothing's going to change as far as the name goes or anything like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what monetization means for our channel. It's nothing crazy. There's no drastic change. You will see ads from time to time on videos. I try to limit how many ads are actually on the videos. Some of the lengthier videos, YouTube allows you to put like an ad in the middle. Sometimes I do that, but I'm just learning it. But that's really the only change that you're going to see on the channel. So I've gotten some questions via email, like, do we have to pay for your channel? No, nobody has to pay for the channel. Nobody has to pay per view. The ads do that. It's all pretty much ad revenue. So I have gotten a question about, like, is our channel becoming a YouTube premium channel or something of that nature? It's not. It's still a regular YouTube channel that is allowed to have advertisers put on advertisements on our videos. And I can dictate how that happens, whether it's a skippable ad, a not skippable ad, a middle ad. I've been learning about what that is. But no, our channel isn't becoming YouTube premium. It still will be free to all viewers. And at some point, I think they allow exclusive content to premium people who have YouTube premium. But I'm not there yet. I think we have to hit like 10,000 subs in order to qualify for that part of the program. So we're just at the basic level of the program. Hey, Jack, how's it going? So that's essentially what our channel is going to do. Now, if you guys who are here and viewing this, if you have any questions about videos, now is a good time to drop a question, or videos you may want to see in the future. Because right now, what I'm trying to do is, going into 2020, we have all those USDA regulations. We're still waiting for the FDA stuff on hemp. So I'm also trying to work the actual grow part of the farm while trying to figure out the monetization for YouTube. Because like today, for instance, we got a large order for hemp flower. It was over $300, close to $300, I guess. It wasn't quite over. And so that's how our farm is still creating income. It's based off of our hemp grow. But YouTube allows us to have like a steady income. And right now we're not making much because only 10 videos are monetized. Mojo Gringo, how do you put in the application for monetization? So how we did it was, you have to qualify. And if you have a YouTube channel yourself, you go in and you look on the left-hand side of the YouTube studio, and there's a button called monetization way down towards the bottom. And that'll tell you if you qualify or not. There should be two little meters. You have to have 1,000 subscribers, and you have to have over 4,000 watch hours. And believe it or not, we had the 1,000 subscribers back in, I think it was early October, maybe mid-October. But we had to wait for the watch hours. Our channel grew faster than what YouTube anticipates. So we had to wait for the watch hours, which didn't happen until pretty much the day after Christmas. I got the email from YouTube saying I qualified. And then once you qualified, that's how you put in the application. You have to create a AdSense account from Google, and then that's how you get paid by those advertisers. You have to have a Google account in order to do that. So that's how we applied. That's how we got in. And I was very surprised that YouTube didn't make us change our name. And we were monetized within 48 hours. So Jack Smith, I'm doing good. How are you, brother? People are making money with hemp. How are you? How do you obtain a permit? So depending on what state you're in, Jack, I'm doing great, by the way. Our channel's doing great. The farm's doing pretty good. But to answer your question about the hemp permit, it really depends on what state you're in. For Virginia, for instance, you have to apply through our agricultural department. And not to, we'll skew off topic because we are still a hemp channel. But yeah, so in Virginia, you have to apply for a grower permit or a retail permit or just to grow, you just need a grower's permit. To sell, you need a bunch of other permits unless you're just selling flower. But in Virginia, you have to sell to another permit. It's in a nutshell, you just got to check with your agricultural department. If you're in Indiana, I'm not sure how Indiana handles it. I will tell you in hemp news, Maryland has decided already, if you guys are following anything with the USDA, Maryland, for all of those who are growing up there, they are following the USDA outline to a T. So a lot of people are submitting applications to the USDA for their own state hemp plans. Well, Maryland is not. They're foregoing it, and they're following the federal guidelines, which is interesting. But I'm not sure about Indiana. Check your local agricultural department. Pretty much every state at this point, with the exception of like 3 or 4, and I know Indiana is not one of them, where you can apply for the permit through the agricultural department. Now, certain states have certain requirements. Virginia is actually really lenient when it comes to their requirements. You can't be a criminal. I think you have to have some agricultural background, although they may have even removed that. Because when we applied, it was during the research permit time. It was right when the research permit was being eliminated and the regular permit was coming in, just the regular grow. So I think even Virginia's gotten rid of that. But yeah, Jack, to answer your question short, just check out your local ag department. They should be able to at least guide you in the right direction to be able to grow. I will tell you right up front that the market is super saturated and flooded right now, and sales are slow. Although we did make a decent sale today, which I was very happy about, and it's going to help a good cause, a person that needs it as medicine, which I always enjoy making those sales, especially, and I gave them a good discount too. So, yeah, I'm very pleased with the way the farm is shaping up for 2020 as far as income goes. Hey, John. Hey, from Wisconsin. Yeah, and to cover John, I think it was my last live stream, guys, and John's one of those guys we were talking to about Wisconsin, and I had misquoted him on harvesting early for the hemp or getting his numbers by harvesting early. That is not the case. John was harvesting at full term, which is great. That means he's got good genetics and should hold on to them, because right now, everybody, if you guys haven't heard, the USDA is making the 0.3 total, which I think is still ridiculous. None of my plants at this current state at full term made that 0.3 cut. But I have CBD numbers well above what a lot of people have, 20%, 17%, 19%. So, I don't know how that's going to play out in 2020. I would anticipate probably having lower numbers just because the plants won't be able to go full term. At least here, you'll probably see, 13, 12% probably coming from my plants next year or 2020. But yeah, so monetization wise, guys, YouTube, that's pretty much the layout of how the channel is going to go. I will be doing a live stream. I think I'll promote it a little bit more. Can I get a cut? You want like a plant cut, Jack? Yeah, you can always email me. I mean, I have to charge you shipping, and I'd have to charge you a little bit for the plant, but overall, yeah, I could send out a cut. I just have to check with your laws in Indiana, but I don't think that's a problem. But yeah, the YouTube monetization stuff, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We've gotten our application approved. So, like I said, the only difference, here's the main takeaway from it. Tomorrow, I'll be doing a premiere video for our trim bag review that I've been working on for quite a while. This will be the first premiere video that I do as kind of like a test run, but it's also kind of a big deal because I've been working on this trim bag thing for quite a while, trying to nail it down and give you my full and honest review of the trim bag and how I think it performs. And I think it saves a lot of money and time. Well, time is money to me. So I will be doing a premiere video tomorrow. That'll be like the first like real initial thing that you'll see as part of our monetization, because that video will have a tip jar on it and it will be able to have a live chat. So I might be able to jump in on the chat tomorrow. I might not. I'm not sure. It really depends on where I am when that video premieres, which I think I'm doing it at 11 before the football games. But I'm not 100% sure. I've been dealing with the monetization bot on that video back and forth. But yeah, so in a nutshell, that's what it is. There is a tip jar, like I said, on these streams. You'll see there's a little money icon down at the chat. That's what it means. It's just a super chat. And that's pretty much it. And as far as like growing hemp goes, guys, or any kind of news, I don't have much. Our farm's been doing good. Like I said, we had a good sale this morning, and we've been doing some sales. I know this week's video on Friday was kind of more of a review of 2019. So to give you guys an update of what's actually going on in the now, I have finished plowing up the grow area. So that thing has been ripped up and it's back to bare ground. Essentially, it's been tilled because I don't really do the no-till thing. The plants definitely do better with tilled land. And so what I'll be doing now, and probably you'll see it in a video, is I'll be amending the soil. So we had a soil consultation way back in I think it was August or September. Maybe it was September because I remember we were harvesting. I had a soil consultation and we got a list of what we need. So what you'll see going into our soil is like lime and gypsum and potash and a whole bunch of other amendments to bring up the soil's pH and just you'll see some cool stuff when it comes to building up the garden for next year, and I'm looking forward to doing those videos soon. But yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions, now is the time. Again, I knew this was going to be a short live stream, and y'all can view it later on the channel. I will post it. But there's really nothing else going on other than the monetization for the channel. The farm plan for 2020 is pretty much done. So I will be doing a live stream on that. I usually do like to do my live streams on Sunday, so it'll either be next Sunday or the Sunday after that as I finalize a lot of that stuff. And yeah, that's it, guys. I really don't see too much else to talk about unless you guys have some questions, but I know it's a Saturday, and I know a lot of people are busy this time of year, so I'm not trying to stay on too long. But let me see here. Hold on. Okay, I actually got a message from somebody looking for more hemp. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, guys, the way you can support the channel is just viewing the videos and skipping the ads. That's it. That's all the only difference you're going to see. So without rambling on too much, unless anybody else has any questions, I think we are going to sign off for today. I do appreciate everybody joining the chat and logging on to view live. And again, we'll see. CJ, what's up, brother? Do you have any issues with drifting fertilizers from neighbor farmers? No. so the thing about the fertilizer in a nutshell, the farms around here do a lot of the GMO corn and soy. I mean, our farm technically included in that, although I contract out for that. So the farmer that plants our field, that's not me personally. And I really don't actually get any money for it. It's a donation, a land donation. I just write it off on our taxes. But to answer your question, no, we don't get any spray fertilizers. The only thing we got to worry about is overspray of Roundup. Um, but I will say that most of the time, those guys will spray the Roundup in the spring. So and I've actually been in touch with our farmers since we've been growing hemp, and they will spray it like very early on to kill all the weeds on the ground before they plant. And they do a lot of no-till practice around here because of the Chesapeake Bay and the runoff and stuff. So the Roundup they'll sit it, they'll put it on the soil, it will kill all the weeds, and then they plant, and that's it. By the time the corn grows so fast that it chokes out all the weeds, and there's no issue. So I usually wait to plant my plants after they've done their initial spray, which is usually like the first week of April. And I don't really anticipate putting my plants in the ground until the third week or fourth week of April. But yeah, it's something to be concerned about because the problem with hemp is it's a super absorber when it comes to anything, whether it's soil, whether it's pollutants, whether it's heavy metals, and it's definitely something to be concerned about. And as far as like growing the hemp, I mean, as long as your ground is okay, you will be fine with like the heavy metals and stuff. But yeah, the fertilizers that could make it non-organic. If you had any kind of carryover spray, you could have a problem there. And we don't have that issue. All of our stuff is organic, although I'm having a really hard time finding organic amendments for the soil. But it is what it is. There's only so much I can do to keep everything organic. You're very welcome for the information, CJ. I try to, like I said, I try to answer the best I can. I don't necessarily know at all or know everything about it, but I do know that I do wait and watch for them to spray the Roundup, and then I do all my plants after. But Roundup is ground; it goes right into the ground and kills the roots. So I don't. Hopefully, it doesn't carry over soil wise. But keeping everything organic, man, it's an absolute chore. And the other problem with hemp too is if somebody decides to grow fiber hemp and you're growing CBD hemp, you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands other than fertilizer carryover too. You got pollination, and there's a mess on the horizon. I can see it already when it comes to hemp. With farmers trying to do two different things, and the way the CBD market has gone this year, it's kind of plummeted. So I would anticipate to see more fiber and food hemp in 2020, given the regulations and given the flood of the market. I wouldn't be surprised. And I think from everything I'm reading right now, there's possibility of even having a CBG flood next year because everybody's jumping in the CBD ship. So who knows? It's always an interesting feat to see what they're going to do and how the market always plays out. But it's a game to be played. And like I said, guys, I'll be doing my hemp farm plan live stream soon. That's one you're not going to want to miss because there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of big changes coming to the farm. The YouTube monetization, I wanted to focus in on it, like today's video, on its own because it's kind of its own thing. But eventually I will show you the farm plan, and the YouTube monetization is obviously part of that, but it's its own entity, really. The farm itself I create a plan for the farm without YouTube in mind, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I've pretty much got it nailed down for this year, and there's a lot of big changes coming for 2020. If you guys have watched my other live streams, you know that we're downsizing this year when it comes to growing, and we are going to be doing more limited plants, and we're possibly trying to get some CBG, maybe even do some food stuff with hemp. But there's a lot of bigger changes coming that I haven't really touched on yet, and that will be in our Farm Plan 2020 live stream. I just haven't nailed down a date yet, but looking at my calendar, Let me see. Look at my calendar. I like to do them on Sundays, so it'll probably be the 18th or the 25th. Judging by how the Sundays are falling, I think, right? No, those are Saturdays. It would be the 12th or the 19th. Sorry, I'm looking at iCalendar here, but yeah. So essentially, that's when we'll do our farm plan, and that's going to be a lot of big changes. There's going to be maybe some moans and groans about some of the changes, and I think there's going to be a lot of positivity towards most of the changes. I'm going to definitely do some more interactive stuff with you guys in 2020 that pertains to YouTube, but really pertains to the farm and how I'm going to approach some of the planting. But CJ, to rebuild dirt to soil from corn, soybean industry to hemp, what cover crop rebuild soil the best possible grazing? To rebuild soil, around here, a lot of people use winter wheat. Winter wheat is a very popular, it's like a grass type thing they plant, and they plant it right after harvest, I believe, and then it grows up. It's lush green in the spring, and that's what they spray the Roundup on, believe it or not, which is just insane to me. But yeah, they use the cover crop as winter wheat. I see clover every now and then, but clover I think is really expensive for a lot of people, so that you don't see it as often when it comes to the fields. But yeah, I think those are the two most popular ones. And correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows in the chat of cover crops. But winter wheat is definitely the one I see the most of, and I think it's the least expensive because it's just a fancy grass essentially. But yeah, going back into the farm plan going into 2020, guys, if you guys are interested in that, I will probably set up a live stream well in advance. So set a reminder and do all that because it's going to be a lot of information. It's probably going to be one of those larger live streams. We've had a couple close in on 2 hours. So that's probably going to be one of them. So what about alfalfa? Alfalfa doesn't grow that well on the East Coast, at least I know. It does, it grows, but it's not like super prevalent. I don't know why, but I know out west it grows a lot better. I've been out to Montana and I've been out west and I've seen alfalfa just growing. But yeah, I know alfalfa. I get soil amendment alfalfa from coast of Maine, and I love it. I usually make compost teas with it. So yeah, if you can do alfalfa, that's probably good too. That'll add a lot of nutrients and micronutrients to the soil. From my experience with alfalfa, the plants absolutely love it. When it's in its ground up form and I put it in my compost teas. So yeah, I didn't even think of alfalfa. But yeah, if you can grow it and it'll take in your area, absolutely. For some reason, it doesn't take very well around here. It may in other states, but for Virginia, I don't know why it just doesn't take. Maybe it's our humidity, maybe it's our soil. I have no idea. But if you're gonna do all that for hemp, my suggestion is to get your soil tested. If you already had, great. But if you haven't, definitely get it tested because you don't want to blindly go in and start adding stuff. One of the things I've noticed when it comes to hemp, and one of the things I learned this year is you want to know what your levels of nitrogen are and potassium and what's the other one? Phosphorus. And you want to know a lot what your calcium is, and you want to know what your organic matter is, because with all these new regulations, your soil is more important than ever because that soil dictates how the plant reacts to soil. I mean, what it creates and what your CBD or your cannabinoid numbers are greatly related to what's in your soil. And that's why I'm prepping now. Our 2020 farm season has already started, and it's January 4th. Because by the time we prep the ground, get the amendments on, and from what my consultation with Sustainable Plant was, the earlier the better when it comes to the soil amendments, because the earth moves at a slower pace than the rest of us in the real world. And we really want to get that amendment on the soil. And one of the things the guy said to me from Sustainable Plant was, if it snows, it's even better. If you have your amendments on the ground prior to a snowstorm and then the snow melts, apparently that really leaches into the ground and that really carries a lot of those amendments. So that's kind of my plan. We usually get a lot of snow, or not a lot, but we get snow in January, February here in Virginia. So I'm really, fingers crossed, I get these amendments in and we get a nice snowstorm. That would really work out well for me. Any plans on an indoor grow from Chris? No, and I'll tell you why. So it was considered, and I will tell you the reason that I chose not to do an indoor grow. So when I first bought the greenhouse, and I first thought like, yeah, I can do an indoor grow. We were going to get set up for the indoor grow. I had everything kind of planned out for what I was going to do. I was going to do auto flowers indoors because I didn't know if I would be able to manipulate the light well enough. But I knew that auto flowers, if you even do them on a 12-12 cycle, you'll still get a flower product. And then what happened was, we got all that set up. We were shopping for grow lights. We were pretty much ready to go. And after our harvest for outdoor, I was in works with talking to a seed provider for autoflowers, and the market just dropped. The bottom of the market was like, it just fell out, and nobody was getting money for flower. Nobody was making any money for hemp in general. And it was just like people were selling flower for next to nothing. They were talking like $150 to $200 a pound, and I saw it getting worse and worse, and people weren't moving it. And you see like places like the hemp marketplace online and stuff, just you see the same ads over and over and over again. So nobody's just moving flower. So that was the deterrent from doing an indoor grow. Long story short, it was in the works and it fell apart because I didn't want to sink any more money into the farm, because I feel like it would have just redlined the farm. The bottom line would have been even harder to meet. And right now we're still staying afloat, but by no means are we rolling in it, and that's like to lead into like what the farm plan of 2020 is with the YouTube monetization, staying on topic. One of the things that I'm going to do is, if you guys do these like super chats or whatever these things, yeah, I think they're called super chats. If you guys do these super chats and you want me to do a video, or you want to see something on the farm, your super chat can go towards that. It's essentially, that's part of this YouTube monetization. So I won't spoil anything that's going on for the Farm Plan 2020. But overall, yeah, you can send a super chat. You can either ask a question, or you can request a video, or you can request something be done on the farm, whether it's an experiment or anything like that. Because the thing is, guys, like Soil Wars was completely provided for by those soil companies, myself putting in the work, and a lot of the amendment companies like Bucky Organics out of Wisconsin, Mammoth P Microbes, Micro Life Hydro. So, and Coast of Maine was a huge participator in that. So those guys provided that content, but in the future, I think I want the followers and the subscribers to provide the content. If you guys want me to do something and you want to back it financially, then we can do something like that. And that's kind of where I see the farm going. Like, I'm going to do my regular stuff, and then if you guys want to see experiments or you want to see something, send a super chat, or via email, ask me if I could do something. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, that's part of the Farm Plan 2020. But yeah, so the indoor grow, I tried, man. I even thought about doing a tent, like a grow tent, and I was pretty close to doing it. I was still pretty close to doing it. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to maintain the mother plants at this point. And that was pretty much how that all went. CJ, I'm in Northern Illinois near Wisconsin. Great information. I'm a rookie grower. Well, CJ, if you're a rookie grower, you're in for a lot of learning. But go ahead and watch some of our videos, and you might be able to avoid some mistakes. That's all I can tell you there. If you're in Northern Illinois, I don't know if alfalfa grows. I see John in the chat. He might know if alfalfa grows up there. I know he's in Wisconsin. But yeah, I don't particularly know what grows up there. Hell, I don't even know what half of what grows here in Virginia. That was part of this year was trying to figure out what strain of hemp grew in Virginia. And I know John, for instance, he grows T1 and T2 and has great success with them. Whereas T1 on our farm was absolutely atrocious and it was unharvestable and it got burned because it got so moldy with the humidity because the flowers were super dense. And there's nothing wrong with the plant and there's nothing wrong with the strain. But when you have super dense flowers and humidity over 90%, quite a bit often over the summer, it doesn't work. You got to have some room to breathe. So it didn't do well in our climate. That doesn't mean it won't do well in your climate, though. So that goes for anything alfalfa. John, there's a great video on it by Rodrigo Willie from the University of Wisconsin. Oh, all right. Well, I'll have to take a look at that. University of Wisconsin. I always like watching videos, especially from educational platforms too. But yeah, I mean, that's, without getting off topic too much, the YouTube monetization is going to affect the farm plan, but it's not going to be like the center focus of it. We'll definitely have some interactive content coming. And, and again, I think I addressed it, whether it was in my video I dropped yesterday or in prior. It essentially, the YouTube monetization and the new content and stuff and the farm plan 2020, best made plans of mice and men, folks. It's all I can say. I may say something in that live stream in a couple of weeks, but it just never come to fruition. It's kind of me throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's kind of like sharing with you guys and what you guys want to see. That gives me the ideas of what I can do. John, I see some people around here with Dutch white cover and cover crop. Okay, so there's your kind of your answer, CJ. Is John saying they use Dutch white cover crop for a cover crop? So that's maybe that's something you can look into. Like I said, I know here in Virginia, winter wheat is a very popular. Clover. I got you. So Dutch white clover for a cover crop, and I know clover is popular. I think it's in the western part of the state, maybe for Virginia, but I know it's more expensive, I think, than winter wheat as far as like seeding goes. But yeah, I knew clover was a good cover crop. It's always a great cover crop. You can't go wrong with it. I know the wildlife loves it too. So CJ, hopefully that answers your question the best we could. Thank you, John, for helping out with that one. Yeah, so that's kind of hopefully that I don't do a cover crop here, although next year I may, and I may do clover. But this year I did not because I knew I was going to be amending the soil quite a bit. We were going to be tearing up the ground like we did a couple of days ago. It was almost 70 degrees here, and today it's close to something in the 60s, maybe mid 60s. So definitely, warm here to be able to till the ground. I know some of you guys up north are not going to have that opportunity. We get to kind of be procrastinators in Virginia because we don't really ever have a real winter, at least on the eastern part of Virginia. I speak for eastern seaboard Virginia, not the west by the Blue Ridge Mountains. But yeah, we get spoiled. It's warm, and I can pretty much go out there until 12 out of 12 months. Very rarely do we have any kind of deep freeze. CJ, I'm planning on 1 year of rebuilding soil only. Oh, okay. I don't even know, CJ. I don't know if it takes a whole year to rebuild soil. A lot of times now, if you're just planting it now, then yes, it'll take a full cycle. But if you've already planted something, cover, clover, you could till that and start growing in the spring. And with hemp, hemp will grow. Hemp will grow a lot of places. It may not grow to the best of its ability. And that's why I'm saying you may want to get your soil tested even before doing a cover crop, because once you get that soil tested, you could even amend it right now or in the spring, depending on your climate. If it's super cold, you're not going to be able to do anything right now, but you can get your soil tested and know what amendments you need to add, especially if you're going to be rebuilding. You're going to want to know what to add. I was super shocked that we were like completely depleted of calcium in my soil, like nothing, which I always had a problem in that same grow area that I started growing hemp as in my experimental crop. I used to grow tomatoes and peppers and all kinds of stuff. And the tomatoes would often get blossom rot, which is an absolute sign that there's no calcium in the soil. So I should have known that years ago, but I didn't. But once I had the soil tested, I know what I need to add in order to get all that like back up to snuff. And in fact, if I can give me a minute, I might be able to even share with you guys what I'm going to be adding to the soil. Not that that's relevant to YouTube monetization, but I can always get that for you guys. It might even be in my big binder. Give me a second. Let me get off camera here. All right, so I got my big binder here. If you guys are interested in like soil rebuilding, I know you are, CJ. I know it's a little off topic, but I actually have my like whole consultation written down, and I can tell you like what we're going to be adding, going in from there. So like a lot of our stuff, we had low calcium. So I'm reading out of my book here. So we're going to be adding gypsum, so that'll help with the calcium. We need 25 pounds of lime per 1,000 square feet, so we'll be doing about 50 pounds of lime. Our sulfur is good, our phosphorus is good, our nitrogen is good. It's almost actually a little too high, which again, it goes back to getting your soil tested, because if your nitrogen is high, you will most likely have a hot crop. Most likely. And then we'll be doing potash. And then the only thing that really concerns me is copper sulfate. So copper sulfate, there's no such a thing as organic copper sulfate. That is man-made. But I will tell you that it's kind of important. And I talked about it a little bit with Sustainable Plant. Copper sulfate is required for the hemp plant because when you get storms like we had, it strengthens the branches throughout the growth cycle. So when the plant is fully matured, you don't get a lot of that real bend to the plant. Like there's some times where it might even just rain a little bit outside when those plants were full term, and the plant would just be leaned right over. And that means that there's not a lot of copper in the soil, because apparently the hemp plant uses copper to strengthen its branches. And there is just no organic form of it. There's just not. But if you don't want to have broken branches and lopsided hemp plants, you got to add it. So I'm really back and forth with myself, because I like to keep everything organic. And as of right now, I can find organic potash, although it's very expensive. I can find organic gypsum, and I can find lime is organic. It's just lime. Doesn't have to really worry about anything. But yeah, so that's one of the few things that I'm like, would I still be considered organic if I add it now? But then it takes 3 to 4 months to soak into the soil. We re-till it, and then we use only organic products on the hemp. So I got to figure out what the definition of organic is. Now, we're not going to get FDA certified organic. That's just a joke anyways, because essentially that's what people can do, right? They could use Miracle Grow and then switch everything over to organic. FDA comes over, oh yeah, you're all organic. They leave. You go back to using Miracle Grow. So, yeah, so we're not even going to go through that process. It's stupid. So hopefully CJ answered a lot of your questions on that. I know it's a lot, very off topic from the YouTube monetization, but I did say live Q&A, so that always saves me. But yeah, so that's kind of like what we'll be doing. And, monetizing is just going to be, it's not going to really be anything special. At the end of the day, it's just going to be the same old content that we've been putting out there. And, again, guys, I look for feedback. If there's videos that you guys are specifically looking for that I could even get monetized, always let me know. So I could, put those videos out there. If there's something you guys specifically want to see that was within reason, that I could make happen, I will definitely attempt to do that. And that's part of the monetization stuff too, is if you guys want to see stuff, just let me know. That's kind of how I'm approaching the whole thing anyway. CJ, great information. Wish you were my neighbor. Yeah, but I don't want to live in Northern Illinois or Indiana. I'm sorry, Indiana. Not, you're in Illinois. Okay, not Indiana. So wait, Illinois just legalized cannabis, didn't it? Aren't you guys up there celebrating, having a good time? Isn't that what's going on up in Illinois right now? I swear I saw it on the news. I think it was January 1st, wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I'm pretty sure it's legal up there in Illinois now. Legal medical grows. Okay, but you guys have dispensary systems now, just like Massachusetts, right? I'm pretty sure I saw your lieutenant governor on my TV going into a dispensary. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't Illinois. No, it is. It is. It was Illinois. Yes, it's recreational also. Yeah, so you guys are in the clear, man. You guys are looking good. Virginia is just talking about decrim, and we'll see how that works out, because they're trying to attach it to all kinds of other bills, and you know how that always works. So, so you're a medical patient of Illinois, so you can grow. That's pretty cool. So our partner up in Vermont, they can grow. They can grow the 6 plants, recreationally. You don't even have to be a medical patient. So we do get to play around up there from time to time. I don't get up there as often as I really would like to, but we do get to grow the good stuff, as people call it, up in Vermont. So I always enjoy seeing that. But here in Virginia, we're just growing our old CBD hemp. Nothing too crazy. But let's see. Yeah. So, but that's cool, CJ. Yeah, I wouldn't want to freeze up there though. I can't. I used to live in New England. I moved to Virginia to get away from the cold. To get away from the cold. I mean, today it's 60, close to 60 degrees. Probably going to be in the mid 60s by the end of today. Yep. So nothing wrong with that. But yeah, guys. So let me know what you guys want to see, content-wise, YouTube monetization, all that good stuff. Regenerative Cannabis Conference. No, I have not heard about this conference. Although somebody did send me an email last week, and I just never got back to them about going to a conference. Try to see what the heck conference that was. It might have already come and gone. It was the CWCB conference. I don't even know what that stands for. They just asked me if I was going to be attending. So the answer is no, I'm not attending. But no, I haven't heard of that conference. There is a few popping up here and there. I'm looking at my emails now. No, I haven't heard of that one. There is going to be some sort of cannabis summit here in Virginia for legalization in the future. I might try to attend that. Check it out. Great stuff. One is held in Emerald Triangle, California, and Michigan. Okay. I might be able to make one in Michigan. Typically, I try to do all the ones in New England and the Southeast. So this year I didn't actually even get to one in the Southeast. I was too busy, but I did end up going up to New England for a conference. NECAN is the one I made up there, and man, I'll tell you, it was a great experience. But you know, here's some advice. I made a video on it. I don't think anybody watched it, but when you go to these conferences, talk to people, man. Like I found that when people go to these conferences, nobody talks to anybody. It's really bizarre. And if you talk to these companies, man, we were walking out there with like bags of samples. I mean, I fed a lot of my plants over the course of the summer by going to one show and having tons and tons of samples. Let's see, there's a conference in Lansing, Michigan on January 10th and 11th. Oh, man, I ain't making it to Michigan on the 10th or 11th. I got to get better at figuring out these conferences. You know, people email me every now and then with these conferences, and like the people that are running the conferences will email me, but they either want me to like speak for something or they want me to do something for them. It's like, why don't you send me some free passes and then we'll talk? They just, I mean, it's really weird how they approach some of this stuff. The last one was this CWCB thing, and yeah, I'm not going to that. But let me see here. A lot of times it ends up in my junk mail too, which is another problem. But yeah, no, I haven't gone. There's one in Maine that may be something I could make. Maine, although I think Maine and Michigan are about the same distance for me. But I actually prefer the Northeast because I have family up there, so I kind of I can stay with them. I don't have to pay for a hotel because, again, and that's something too, guys. If you want me to go to these conferences and live stream them and stuff like that, that's always stuff I can do. I just got to have more funding on the farm to be able to go to more of these conferences. They are expensive to go to because you got to pay your ticket, and a lot of these, you know, I'm lucky enough to have family in New England, so a lot of times if I can get one close to Connecticut or Vermont, I can go to it without having to pay a hotel fee or a room and, you know, have all those expenses. But it still costs money to go, still costs money to drive up there or even fly up there. I mean, the amount of tolls between Virginia and the Northeast is ridiculous. I think last time I went up there, I spent like $60 in tolls, just tolls on the damn road. So it is expensive to go to those things. But I try to make at least one or two every year. I probably will go back to the NECAN one up in the Northeast. They just had one in New Jersey not too long ago, which I should have went to that one, but I didn't, just because the hotel room was going to cost too much. But yeah, try to go to those conferences, and you'll learn a lot. But just make sure you talk to people. Make sure you talk to people. We got all kinds of cool stuff, man. The guys from Cutting Edge Technologies. I think that's what the name of the company was. Cutting Edge. Let me look at my book here. I got all their stuff. But yeah, if you go to like Cutting Edge, they had like free samples of like stuff that wasn't even on the market. Like we just got stuff that nobody else had access to just because we were asking questions, which I always thought was cool. You know, if you just ask the questions, you may get some free stuff. And there's nothing wrong with free stuff, guys. You know what they say about free stuff? Anything free is worth saving up for. Keep that in your hat for a rainy day. But yeah, so conferences, stuff like that, that's something I could put on my radar. But hey, guys, have any more questions? I'm not trying to rush it or anything, but I know we've kind of gotten off topic from the monetization, but it usually happens on these live streams, which I absolutely enjoy. But yeah, so in a nutshell, that's what it's going to be. And to recap everything, if there's no more questions, and we'll get going here. But essentially, monetization means absolutely really nothing for the channel other than the change in the video formats. You will see some premieres. There will be one tomorrow. So if you guys are interested, I am going to be premiering a trim bag video tomorrow. A big shout out and thank you to Trim Bag. I've been working on that video for quite a long time. And I'm really excited to launch our Trim Bag video tomorrow. And that's why it's going to be our first premiere under these new monetization things, where if you guys want to, you can always send a super chat, which is essentially a tip jar. And the thing about super chats is essentially I'll adhere to this rule of YouTube. If you send a super chat, I will guarantee I'm going to answer it. And if it's more of not necessarily a question, but if it's more of can you do this, I will attempt to adhere to that too. Meaning by if you guys ask like, hey, can you cut the plant down early and hang it up to dry it so I can see what it does? Like, yeah, I could do that kind of stuff. That's just a off the top of my head, kind of question. So that's really what it is. It's just essentially a tip jar. And then, of course, you're going to see ads. Some videos will have them. Some videos will not. YouTube determines that, not me. So, it's really weird because I've even gone on and checked out my videos that say they're not getting ads, and the next thing you know, they are getting ads. So Whitmore Lake, Michigan, March 27th, 28th, 29th, 2020, Regenerative Organic Cannabis Conference. All right, well, I'll mark my calendar down. I don't know what I'm doing in March yet. Hell, I don't even know what I'm doing next week yet. So I don't. Let me write it down here real quick. Get a pen. March 28th, 29th. Okay. Well, if I can make it up to Michigan, I might. But there's no guarantee up there. Portland, Maine. Now that's one I might be able to make. Portland's close, and I actually have some friends pretty close to Portland, so that's definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. Like I said, New England's just easier for me. It's just less expensive for me to go to New England. John, you're right. It starts with the soil. Take your soil test to a conference. There'll be people there that can look at it and help you with amendments. Yeah, I didn't even think about taking your soil to a conference, but yeah, that makes total sense. You're going to meet people there that know what they're doing. And like I said, guys, I use the guys over at Sustainable Plant. They're in Ohio. The guys are great. They're building a huge facility right now. If you guys follow them on Instagram, if you guys have one, I'll put it in the chat so you guys can look them up. Their name is just Sustainable Plant. And they're building a humongous facility in Ohio right now to grow hemp, I'm guessing, experiment with hemp. They're going to be doing all kinds of cool stuff, but they're the ones that kind of consulted me with the soil, and it all starts with your soil. You got to make sure that your soil is good. Now, the reason we got away with having such awesome plants this year and such a ridiculously good harvest with good CBD numbers was because I was putting so many amendments in the ground, like all organic amendments. Thank you, Coast of Maine. I mean, that was the bulk of my amendments. Coast of Maine, Craft Buds, and Bucky Organics towards the end really helped out too. But I mean, they all those amendments were the only reason why I had such awesome harvests and such great numbers. If I did not do that, I would have nothing. I would have crappy numbers and crappy plants. And the reason that it worked out like that is because I was watching the plants every day, and you could tell they were starving. And that's why I started really ramping up the nutrients going into them. But it took a lot of nutrients. And now the plants are gone. I can go in there and add the nutrients, so I don't have to bust my butt every day going out there and giving those plants food, because when it comes to organics, you need almost 2 to 3 times the amount of organic amendments than you would need non-organic amendments, because organic amendments just don't carry the nutrients that, like, for instance, the salts, people call them salt amendments, like Miracle Grow, or other salt amendments have a lot more nutrients in them, but they're not organic. So that's always something to keep in mind too, John. When you're talking about soil, yeah, I didn't know you could get them tested in a conference, but yeah, for CJ, definitely everything starts at that level. Um, and I wish those guys had a YouTube channel, and I've been trying. They made a video a while back about the soil testing, and they tested a bunch of bagged soils. So we sent them a bunch of soils from Soil Wars. So you would think that I buy a bag of soil, it should be really good, and or they're all relatively the same, and that is not the case whatsoever. And we learned a lot just by doing the 4 bag soils. I was supposed to get them more. I'm sure they would take them now, but I feel like guilty. Just I didn't. I didn't send them on time, so I don't want to pressure those guys. They're building so much and they're doing quite a bit. So I'm gonna leave them alone unless they ask for it. But I always give them a shout out because they did a great job. I mean, we spent over an hour on the phone talking about how I'm gonna amend my soil, and it's all up to me to do it now, and that's exactly what I'm doing. CJ, Kingdom Aquaponics is one of the speakers. It rings a bell. I don't. Are they based out of Vermont by any chance? Kingdom. Oh, they're based out of Connecticut. Oh, I did not know that. So these guys are based out of Connecticut? Okay. Well, I have a lot of family in Connecticut. Um, Actually, the majority of my family lives in Connecticut. So that's interesting. Do they do tours? That's pretty cool. I didn't realize they did all that stuff. Huh. Well, that'll be cool. That'll be cool to see them. Um, if I can make it, I will in Portland, Maine. But like I said, I try to go to at least 1 or 2 a year. But they are expensive. Um, but it is what it is. John, send your soil out to get tested and take the results to the conference. Talk to the dirt nerds. Yeah, man, dirt nerds. That's a real thing, man, and they know soil. And I mean, I'm a scientist by trade, but like with fisheries, with fish science and stuff like that, marine science. These guys blew me away with some chemistry they were talking about. I mean, I have a pretty good grasp on chemistry, but man, these dirt nerds, that's a great name, dirt nerds. Man, they know quite a bit. They will hook you up. They will tell you everything you need to know. And a lot of them have been growing hemp well before it was, passed in the farm bill. So they know how these plants are going to react to what you're doing with the soil. And man, they really hooked me up, like line by line, pounds, like to a T of what I needed. Like, for instance, we need boron. If anybody knows what boron is, it's just an element. Yeah, we need boron for our soil. They tell me why I need boron and how it helps the plants and it uptakes your calcium. And it's like, whoa, man. So yeah, dirt nerds, real thing. And it's something you definitely need to consider, especially going into 2020. It's not going to be the wild, wild west it has been. You're going to get state inspected most likely, and you're going to want to know what that plant is going to produce or what its potential to produce really is. You take a fair CJ, when you do a sample, at least with their instructions from me were I had to take a minimum of 4 plugs of soil from opposite ends of the grow area. So like, for instance, in my grow area, CJ, I took a plug from the northeast corner, the northwest corner, the southeast corner, the southwest corner, and then one smack in the middle. I took 5 plugs, and then you mix them all up in a sample bag, and you send it on their way. And then they analyze it, and they'll tell you exactly what you need. Like, for instance, I know now that we have a sandy loam soil. We have below 3% organic matter, which is not great, but it's not terrible. We just need to add more organic matter. And prior to the collapse of the CBD market, I was in getting ready to make a very large purchase of lobster compost from coast of Maine. And now with the CBD market being where it is, I'm going to have to forego that amendment because that was going to be one of the most expensive amendments. It was actually going to add calcium because lobster adds calcium, and it was going to add obviously the compost is going to add that organic matter, but we ended up not doing that. But yeah, you don't have to dig very deep, very surface level for the sample. If there's any kind of grass or vegetation, you want to remove that, and then you're going to just take your sample pretty much off the surface. That's how we were instructed to do our samples, and it worked out pretty well. And the only thing about that is if you have amended your soil, so like I did mine in the summertime, so like we were amending our plants at the time. So those plants were getting soil amendments. Like at the time, we were doing a lot of lobster meal and a lot of fishbone meal from coast of Maine. I had to make sure that I didn't get those amendments in the soil because that will spike your results. So you want to make sure you don't amend the soil where you're taking it from. Samples mixed together, overall sample that represents the whole field. Yeah, you definitely you take John to add to that. I think which is exactly kind of what I was saying to CJ is you want to take samples from all different parts of your grow area and mix them all together in the same sample bag. That should give you a pretty decent representation of your grow area. That's like I said, that's what they instructed me to do. And then the dirt nerds just do their thing, man. I like that term, dirt nerds. A good YouTube channel name. Dirt nerds. I like it. But yeah, that's how you do it. But it's more important now than ever before. Nobody's going to get away with what I did this year or this past year in 2019. I would be very hesitant knowing what I know now to do what I did because you're either you're going in blind, right? So you don't know what's in your soil. You don't know how that plant's going to react. What if your soil is super loaded with nitrogen? You could be running hot plants. You won't even know it. At least if you test your soil prior, the dirt nerds will tell you if you have high nitrogen, you are most likely going to have hot plants. And that was something I had no idea about. That's why they even said in my conference, don't touch your nitrogen. Don't add any more nitrogen to your grow area. And that was exactly what I did. I'm not adding any nitrogen to my grow area. They said it was perfectly fine, but I had no calcium and no potassium. So I had to add all that. But yeah, they will tell you exactly what to do. And it's growing hemp is going to become more of a science this year. It's going to be more dialed in, and especially for people who've been growing it, who now have cultivators or mother plants, how those plants are going to react to your climate, to your soil, to your overall, practices, whether it's organic or non-organic. So, it's just more important than ever. I know we are completely off topic at this point for YouTube monetization, but I'm glad I could answer your question, CJ. I hope John helped out too with those questions. He's growing some really nice plants up there in Wisconsin. I've seen some pictures of them. They're very, very nice. So yeah, hopefully those questions you had about that should be answered. There's nothing saying you can't plant this year, CJ. If you amend your soil correctly, get it tested, because the turnaround time for soil testing is usually like 3 weeks. So if you did it now, if your soil is not frozen, you did it now, you'd have your results by the end of the month, early February, and be able to amend in the spring. So I don't think if you want to grow, 2020 is not out of the question yet. It's getting close. I mean, it's definitely it's here. 2020 is here. But yeah, I mean, you could grow. I mean, amending your soil. I mean, letting soil rest is kind of like a myth. If you're rotating crops, then yeah, that's absolutely true. You want soil to rest, but as far as like letting it rest with a cover crop, nah. you want to add those amendments. You want to get that tested, and you want to be moving. You want to get that soil rejuvenated. So John says exactly. Our dirt nerd told us to add manure. Wouldn't have known that without a soil test. Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with me. So that's one of the things the dirt nerds told me was manure for organic matter. And I do have a supplier that would give me free manure. But the one thing about manure that really scares me, and we kind of touched on it when I had my consultation, was my nitrogen levels were like right there. They're perfect right now. If they go up, there's a potential for plants going hot, because there's just more to consume. So I'm kind of actually going to stay away from the manure. That's why I was going to go with lobster compost, but it just never came to fruition, just because the money wasn't there for the farm. And as much as I work with Coast of Maine, nobody's giving you free lobster compost, so you had to pay for it. It was just didn't work out. But we're going to do everything but organic matter this year. Yeah, to not add, so as not to add manure. Yeah, I mean it's very like John said, to not add it because of the nitrogen levels. I mean that's why we were told not to. We were told to add it, but not to add it. It's like you can go ahead and try it, but your nitrogen level may go through the roof. And that's not something I really want to risk. So then we talked about the lobster compost, which goes back to that. So yeah, there's like things like, oh, you always think like adding manure. It's a classic thing to add to a garden. Yeah, well, if you're growing hemp, it may be great and you may have awesome big plants, but when you come out to get your state testing, not going to look too good. So, yeah, got to get that soil tested. I mean, that's one thing I've just taken away this year. And I touched on it in my video I uploaded yesterday, guys. I don't know how many of you guys watched it or whatever. I mean, it didn't get a lot of views, which is understandable. But I touched on it with Soil Wars. Soil Wars opened my eyes to so many things. Just bagged soil, stuff that you buy at a hydroponic store or a grow store or a nursery. Those soils vary so differently. Like for instance, like Fox Farm is a fan favorite for growing. It's an absolute fan favorite. And it tested the worst out of most of the soils. And then you had like products like Coast of Maine's potting soil that was just great. And so it was really interesting to see the levels of nitrogen. And these guys, these dirt nerds that from Sustainable Plant, they really harped on boron, which I thought was really interesting. I never really heard anybody talk about boron before that. Like, in the soil. I've obviously knew it was an element on the periodic table, but boron, apparently, if you don't have boron, you can have calcium and the plant won't take as much as it can. If you have boron in your soil, the plant takes up the maximum amount of calcium. If I'm remembering it correctly. Of course, it's been months, but from my understanding, that's what the boron was for. And I had no clue. I could have just added a bunch of calcium to my field, and then I could have been wasting time and money because the plant's not going to utilize it because it doesn't have boron. And one of the ways you can actually add boron to your soil is you can literally go to your grocery store and buy borax, the old clothing wash. It's like $7 for a box, like a big box of it. And you just go out there and you sprinkle it across your ground. And that's how you add it. But who would have known that if I didn't have my soil tested? But yeah, nitrogen is the big scary for hemp. It's the one that if you have a good dirt nerd, they will tell you, be careful with your nitrogen. From Oregon, Soil King from Canada is great soil for sale. Dude, Soil King, my man. CJ, I have personally spoke with Patrick, and he is an amazing guy. I actually even have his cell phone number. The dude is, I can't speak enough good stuff about him. Dude knows what he's doing. Right now, I know he's focusing on his lineup of Seed to Soul. So I haven't talked to him quite a bit. But to give you some backstory about Patrick, he's the one that actually got me in touch with the owner of Trim Bag to get Trim Bag on the farm and do videos and like work with Trim Bag. And so that's why I'm really excited about my Trim Bag video tomorrow, is because I worked with Patrick King and the owner of Trim Bag. His name is Ken, and we were able to like work it out and get the Trim Bag to the farm and do these videos and like, yeah. So my man Soil King from California, he's a great dude overall. Like the guy just knows what he's talking about. He's just really cool. His soil is awesome. It's super clean. Like we have some of his Kashi compost, which I don't even know if you can buy right now because speaking to his integrity, they had a batch of Kashi compost come in a little hot. It had a heavy metal in it or too much of something, and he disposed of it. Not for sale. Done. Like, and to take that type of integrity to your soil, like you could have easily slapped a bag with a tag and sold it. He did not. And he made a post about it like, hey, man, we're going to be out of Kashi compost. And it was just incredible. So the dude's got some integrity. His soil lineup is phenomenal. I know he's been working on a Michigan blend. And I know you met him at the Emerald Cup last year, and awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, just talking to him over the phone, the dude is just real nice. I mean, he doesn't take any bullshit either, which is just cool. He's just an awesome guy. And if you work with him, he'll work with you. He's a no bullshit kind of guy, and I really like that about him. I haven't talked to him in recent months only because, well, there's not much going on, but I was working with Trim Bag, trying to get these videos out for them. But if it wasn't for Patrick, I wouldn't have probably ever talked to Trim Bag. So I got, again, just a big thanks to him. And the way I met him was through Soil Wars. He sent me a huge care package. I mean, just the dude's just awesome. That's all I can say. No negative about Soil King. His soils, his personality, his business. He knows what he's doing. I wish I lived closer to California. But one of these days, I am going to travel out there for one of those conferences and probably meet him. John, Purple Cow Organics here in Wisconsin has some great seed starting mix. Yeah, John, speaking of Wisconsin, Bucky Bloom Organics, I work with them. Do I have anything from them in my binder here? I worked with them quite a bit during Soil Wars. I don't know if you've heard of them. But Bucky Bloom or Bucky Organics, I think is their name. Their actual name. Bucky Bloom is one of the products that we used on the farm. Now that's liquid manure. So one of the ways I was able to get I'm trying to think. One of the ways I was able to get like nitrogen to the plants, especially in a late stage, without like bringing up the overall soil nitrogen, was adding their liquid cow manure to the irrigation system that I had set up. They also have granular cow manure, which is easy to add. And that stuff is great for potted plants. I didn't really see much of a result in the ground stuff, but the potted plants liked it quite a bit. And Bucky Organics, great guys. I haven't heard of Purple Cow. I'll look it up right now. See if they have a website. Purple Cow. Oh yeah, here they are. Oh, cool. All right. Oh, they have hemp specific stuff. That's pretty cool. Clean products for every phase. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Dang, that's really cool. Purple Cow Organics. I wonder if they have an Instagram. Yeah, they do. Oh, they got quite a following. Well, thanks for that tip, John. I'm going to check out Purple Cow. Maybe I can work with them. Maybe get some of their stuff on the farm. I'm always up to trying new stuff. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Like I said, so I know we got completely off topic, guys, and now we're approaching an hour and a half, which is a lot longer than I thought this live stream would go. Um, but again, thanks for all the questions, guys. I love them. I think it's always just fun to live stream. I plan on doing more and more of them as the year goes on. Um, I don't have anything from Bucky Organics in here. I mean, I'm slacking. I got my big binder, and I don't have anything from them in here. Dang. But those are the guys I use in Wisconsin. As far as so CJ, I know you asked for like or was it John? John was saying something about seed starting. Coast of Maine makes a decent seed start too. Those are the guys that we use here on the East Coast. We use Coast of Maine Seed Start. Had decent luck with them. The only critique I have, and I think they actually listened, and we talked to them a little bit, was they had some sticks in it, but I think they're going to remove that for this year's batch. So looking forward to the new bag of Seed Start from Coast of Maine. But I know they're working on a whole bunch of stuff when it comes to hemp and cannabis. So be interested to see how that goes. John, use International AG Labs, Minnesota. Yeah, well, it's cool. I haven't heard of International AG Labs. A lot of people in Virginia use Virginia Tech. The college will do it. Southern Grower, hey man. I subscribed to your channel, by the way. I think it was you. From the UK, or maybe it was. I can't remember. My memory is shot. Let's see here. No, it was Greystone, I think. Was it Greystone? No, yeah, I subscribed to your channel. From the UK. Oh man, it must be a nice afternoon over there in the UK. Yeah, I did subscribe to your channel, Southern Grower. This one through your drip line works great. John, I need to check out Purple Cow. Well, I have them up on my website, and actually, while we're talking about it, if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna jump on my phone here and friend them on Instagram. Purple Cow. That's cool, man. They have some really cool stuff. So I'm gonna definitely check them out. But yeah, like I said, so for me, a lot of times, and I even said this during Soil Wars, and as much as I love Soil King, so speaking of, um, speaking of just Soil Wars and Patrick King in general, the problem with a lot of those great soils is they're all the way across the country, not even halfway across the country. They're the whole way across the country. And, to ship them here, I mean, the carbon footprint, if you have any eco sense, it's like, damn, I just shipped dirt from California. There's got to be something here to source. And the other thing is the cost. It costs a lot. So a lot of my stuff, I use Coast of Maine because they're local. So I know Purple Cow, Wisconsin. Who knows? That might work out. It may not. Who knows? No, my dog is over there. But anyway, Yeah, Coast of Maine is who I use a lot of my organic stuff. I know I've been plugging them in. I'm not no promotion or anything. That's who I use. As I'm wearing Dirtcraft Organics hat, that's from Soil Wars. Let's see, cold and dark over there in the UK, huh? Darn, that sucks. It's not too cold here today. Midwestern Bioag, I heard works with University of Wisconsin. Okay. Yeah, Virginia Tech in Virginia does a lot of the people's soil samples, but I had a good deal with Sustainable Plant in Ohio. That's their they're a private corporation and they do their own thing. They're on Instagram. Again, I put them up in the chat. If you guys are looking for them. They're cool and they call you up and they're nice people. Again, I'm sure a lot of people, are good at, there's plenty of dirt nerds out there. So use one that you're comfortable with. Let's see. Cheers for subscribing. Have to keep under the radar in the UK, unfortunately, due to their data laws. Well, I mean, the United States isn't what I would call groundbreaking when it comes to hemp laws, but yeah, we don't have to live in the dark anymore. We have all our farm bill passed and all that. So, it's not necessarily living in the dark anymore, but we still have to be careful, so to speak. Let's see. Oh boy. But yeah, this is what we were gonna get. We're on a topic of soil, so we share with you guys. So that's the Coast of Maine. They call them these super sacks. We were gonna get the lobster compost one to add to our soil, but we just ended up not doing that. What's up, Ruddy? But yeah, that's what's going on with that. Definitely off topic now. But yeah, if you guys have questions, keep dropping them in the chat. I'll live stream a little bit longer if you guys want. And then I'll probably sign off here in a little bit. I'm trying to look for something soil related that I had from Sustainable Plant to see if I had anything to share with you guys from them. No. Yeah, I just have all my notes from the conference, but that's about it. Root rep, all kinds of stuff. You get a lot of this stuff from yeah. So here's some notes that I had from the conference that I just discovered. So one of the reasons that I brought up potash, and this is something maybe John, I'm sure when he got his soil tested, he found potash is high in potassium, and potassium is bud density. So a lot of times, if you don't have enough potassium in your dirt, you will not have good bud density, and that plays a huge role. And that actually, I'll lead you to another thing that I started using last year that I thought was really intriguing. They're one of the only companies that had this type of recipe on their stuff, and it's called Cold War Organics. Cold War Organics. They're organic company based out of Vermont, and they have this stuff called Bud Bread. And there's a whole line of their stuff, but they have almost all of their recipes are high in potassium, which I thought was really bizarre. But come to find out from the dirt nerds that the reason why they're probably putting so much potassium in these amendments is because when you buy your bag soil, a lot of times it has a ton of nitrogen. Sometimes these companies put so much nitrogen in their bag soils that it burns the seedling. So they don't even recommend that you put a seedling in, which, okay, so you got to buy 2 different soils then. And the other thing is what they found is a lot of times there's not enough potassium in those bag soils. So these guys, which is super brilliant on their part, are adding that potassium that isn't in your bag soil, and people are getting astonishing results because they're filling the gap essentially. And with a lot of my amendments over the summer, I realized, like, when I started looking at the NPK values, I realized that the K, the potassium, was either non-existent or ridiculously low. So these guys, I add to pretty much every single compost tea I made after I found out that I didn't have any potassium. And I could easily see the results in the bud density on the plants. So that's something to consider too. And we had like not a lot of potassium in our soil. So you just find out all kinds of things from those dirt nerds. And there's all kinds of amendments to do it. If it's a super small grow area, maybe in potash isn't the answer. Maybe, getting some of this stuff is. Yeah, molasses through the drip tape is good. The one thing I do know about molasses through the drip tape is that it can create sugar crystals in your drip tape and clog it. It can also a lot of people don't like to add carbs until the very end. They call the sugars until the end of harvest, which I don't know why. I've never done the molasses trick, but I've definitely heard of it. But I used Bucky Organics towards the end, and I used Craft Bud's terpene booster, which, I mean, whoa, the terpene profile of my hemp is incredible. You can smell it a mile away. It is incredible, even as it is right now, after being a month old or a couple months old. But anyways, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up for the day. I think we're good. We're way off topic from the very beginning, but live Q&A can send you anywhere. I do appreciate all you guys logging into the live stream and asking questions and participating. And if you guys have just joined, if you're new, if you just came into the live stream, I think we're going to head out soon. But don't forget that we are going to be doing a farm plan 2020 farm plan video live stream very soon. It's gonna have a lot of information in it. I really hope, if you guys want to try to remember, it will be sometime in mid-January on a Sunday probably. And try to remember, it's going to be a lot of information. I'll probably make several videos on it after I do the live stream, just because there's going to be a lot of changes coming to York River Cannabis in 2020. And I want to make sure that I'm completely clear with everybody on where our intentions are and where I see the channel going. So that's just kind of like a future outlook thing to wrap up everything before we log off for today. John, yep, towards the end. Yeah, you want to add that molasses towards the end. And thanks for showing up, John, and happy growing to you, and happy growing to everybody. Again, guys, I love these live streams. I appreciate everybody, joining in the chat. John coming in and helping CJ, and we've been bombarding CJ today with all kinds of information, which is just fun. It's always fun to talk to new growers, because you sometimes people who've only been growing for a year sound like experts, but you just learn from their mistakes, and then, oh man, they sound like experts. Then you talk to somebody who's been growing for 30 years and they're the expert. So by no means am I an expert. We've just learned the hard way a lot of times and just do a lot of research. That's all. And we had the benefit of having Soil Wars, which changed the dynamic of the farm overall. Like that experiment alone has changed so much on our farm, just so much. Go back and watch those videos, or or ask questions about it. It's just crazy, just crazy. But yeah, but that's the recap, guys. So monetization recap before we log off. Monetization not going to really change the channel. Tomorrow, our first premiere video will be out for Trim Bag, and I'm really excited about it. I will attempt to join that live chat. There will be a live chat associated with that video. So set your reminders. It should be dropping at 11, and as soon as this live stream is over, I will put the premiere out there so that you guys can see it. You can set your reminders. If you guys are in the chat, I will be glad to join. It's kind of like a live stream / uploaded video. So totally new. That's part of this monetization thing. Looking forward to it. But yeah, so and that's the recap of the original context of the video. CJ, I'm glad you were able to get some information. You know, there's and always join our live streams. You'll never know what information you'll learn. I mean, everybody jumps in here, and there's a ton of knowledge floating around to learn from, and everybody learns differently. I like listening from other people because when I experiment, I could get frustrated sometimes. But so getting a good jumping point is always good, and joining the live streams, you'll always find something in here. Check up out on Mont Herb Hemp. Okay, I'll also have to check them out too. Oh wait, that's your Instagram? Yeah, I got you, John. But yeah, so yeah, but thanks for showing up, guys. I do appreciate it. And like I said, monetization is not going to change the channel that much. So I know I got some questions. If it's going to be a premium or anything like that, not going to happen. We're not charging for channel views or anything like that. So once I got that question, I felt like I needed to make a video or a live stream about it. And hopefully I answered everybody's questions today. And I look forward to putting out more videos and doing more live streams with you guys and having a good time. I'm glad we were able to answer CJ's question. I appreciate John coming in and Southern Grower and all you guys participating in the chat. I do really do appreciate. I love the chat, just like the comments on the videos, guys. I enjoy them. I love reading them. And yeah, so that's about it for today, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to log out. And you all have a great Saturday. I hope to see you guys at the premiere of the Trim Bag video tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. I've never really done that before, so I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out. But yeah, so y'all take care. Have a great Saturday. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow in the chat on the Trim Bag video. So y'all have a great day.